So we're here at the Hawthorns with Ron Atkinson. Ron started out as a player and holds the record for most appearances for Oxford United with 384. From starting out in managing Kettering Town to going on to the U's, he's then went on to have a successful career with West Brom before winning FA Cups with Man United. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Ron went on to become a much-loved TV pundit. Ron, when you started your managerial career at Kettering, you was only 32. As a relatively young manager then, how did you get older players of a similar age maybe in a dressing room to respect you?
Well, I think players, whatever age, where you've come from, will find you out in a week. If you don't know, if you don't know what you're talking about, they'll quickly suss you out. But I had one basic philosophy all through my managerial career. I would treat players, I used to try and treat players the way I would want to be treated as a player. Now that doesn't mean to say they get all their own way or anything like that, but I always try to be fair with them and fair and honest with them, and by and large that's, that was the philosophy I adopted all my career.
Okay. And after Kettering you joined Cambridge United. On arriving at the Abbey, what was your first impressions of the club?
Well, I knew a lot about Cambridge United because my brother had been on loan there a few years earlier. And I knew Curly Smart was a big mate of my brother's. He used to play cards with him or dominoes or something, in the pub opposite the ground. Yep. So I knew quite a few of them. And Curly, Mr. Smart, Reg Curly. Curly was, he was very instrumental in me going to the club. He phoned me one night when I was at Kettering. We've been successful at Kettering. But, I felt it was time to move on from there. And Cambridge was a club similar to when I first went to Oxford, so I knew the sort of background to that type of club. And I think it was three great years there. I loved it.
And did you ever think about maybe signing your brother back to come and play on your side?
Well, I couldn't, because ironically enough, I'd signed him for Kettering. The year before, he got 20 goals in what is now the First Division. I signed him for Kettering because his contract was up. And the day I actually took over at Cambridge, I actually trained Cambridge in the morning, and in the evening I managed Kettering against Swansea in the FA Cup. We beat them 3-1, but unfortunately Graham got involved and had fella broke his leg very badly and finished his career that night.
Oh, that's a shame. So what is your single fondest memory of your 3 years in charge at Cambridge United, would you say?
Hard to say, because there wasn't a standout memory. Like, we'd more or less got promotion just after Christmas, and the year we actually went up. So every week we would celebrate something, like theoretically we're up, and the week after we'd be definitely up, and the week after that we'd definitely be runners up, and then till the end we were champions. So
any excuse to be in the pub?
Yeah, well, no, in the club, in the club. Yeah. So there was a
feel-good factor around the club?
Yeah, I mean, I always remember being at a meeting once. One thing I could never get at Cambridge, I could never get a winger. I never got the sort of winger. I could get good midfield players. And we used to play a system where we had three up front, like Alan Byerley, Tom Finney, and in the Fourth Division it was Jim Hall. Jim Hall was a revelation. We got to Christmas and I thought, we'll win this league, but we've got to make sure we score goals at home. So Paddy Caron's manager at Northampton. I think I swapped Dave Lyon with him. Keith Bowker it was, I swapped with him. And I said to Jim Hall, what can you do for me? He said, I can't run. He said, I can't tackle. I can't defend. He said, all I can do is score goals. I said, well, that's quite a good thing for a centre forward, so that's a start. But then we used to have this little thing in the dressing room where I used to give them little competitions. And if we kept a clean sheet, it meant so much extra for something and whatever. Jim Hall, every time we had a corner against us, would race back and head it clear, because he always backed a clean sheet every week. But great bunch of lads. One of the luckiest things I ever had. I signed 3 lads, Fallon, Spriggs and Biley, all for it was statutory then, 250 quid sign-on fee. 750 quid for them 3. They formed a big nucleus of the team. Dave Stringer comes in, he's the icing on the cake. I've got lots of good players around. the front three, like I said, I couldn't get a winger. And I used to go balmy. And yet we were the leading goal scorers, I think, in the country.
I remember speaking to Tom Finn, and he said to me that you always used to say in the change room, just go out there, enjoy your game, express yourselves on the pitch, but just make sure you outscore the other team. And obviously that kind of philosophy works, doesn't it?
Well, it does if you've got players that can score. I mean, we also had players like back four players. You know, we had Fallon was a very reliable defender. Dave Stringer was the epitome. He'd done everything in the game. Batman at right back, classic. We could never get a left back. But so I put Lindsay Smith there. And Lindsay did a great job in there. And then you got the midfield players like experienced pros. You got Trevor Howard was in the side, Willie Watson, people like that. And Spriggsy got energy for fun. He could run all over the field. And whilst I couldn't get a winger, people like Alan Barley would work in the wide areas. And because he was great at getting on the end of crosses, he'd know the type of cross to put in. And yeah, it was a bit of a frustration, but then somebody said, what are you worried about? You're scoring more goals than any team in the country.
And you're telling me off camera about when you played for Cambridge United Reserves. Did you not maybe think about putting yourself in as a winger?
Left winger. Give it me and give it yeah. No.
How you won the league, wasn't it, or something, with the reserves?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So, okay, who was your most pivotal signing, would you say, for Cambridge?
I don't think there was one. I think, like I said, the three young lads that came in, all 17 and 18, formed a big nucleus. Dave Stringer coming in was a great signing. I'll tell you what, and we haven't mentioned him at all, and it was Brendan that told me about him. Our goalkeeper was Graham Smith, who packed up to go for Adidas. And I'm looking around for a goalkeeper, and there was a lad named Malcolm Webster, who I think had been at Southend, I think. He'd been at Arsenal with Brendan. And Batman said to me, Webby was a good keeper, you know, so I said, bring him along, let's have a look at him. And we signed him after one trial game, and how long did he last there? Years.
Yeah, really well, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got Batman to thank for that one then.
Yeah.
And talking back on Dave Stringer just quickly, obviously Brendan said earlier, off camera as well, that as he was skipper, he was also a bit scared of Dave Stringer. Did Dave Stringer have a big personality in the dressing room?
I tell you what he did, he had a great respect. They all had a respect. But in all fairness to them, they all had a respect for each other. And not only that, we had backup players coming along, and he goes balmy Barry Fry. Our youth team played, I just thought of something there, our youth team played Dunstable, and they had two players playing, and we played them there. I thought, cool, they're good players, them. A big lad named Floyd Street, who was 16 and looked about 23, 24, and had another kid, a left-sided player, Jamie Murray. So after the game, Barry Fry's there, he's manager at Dunstable. Barry comes in, I say, Barry, just go in my office and have a drink, I'll see you in half an hour. And I go in the office after half an hour, Barry's there. I said, good, you enjoyed it tonight, lad? He said, what about them two lads of ours? Good players, Ron. Do you fancy buying them? I said, no. He said, well, they're good players. I said, no. I said, I've just spoken to them. They're not on contract. I've just signed them.
So I got asked by a fan to ask this question. Is it true then, talking of Barry Fry, that you went to see Bill Baldry for a case of champagne to give to Barry Fry at one time?
No, the other way around.
The other way around.
What happened? Billy was part-time. He was working at Vauxhall Motors, and he came in as the left back, actually, in the team that won the 4th Division. But as the step up, it was going to be hard for Billy, part-time. Willie Watson used to wind him up every match. He used to say, you getting your studs out with your monkey wrench and stuff like that, doing his boots and all that. Anyway, so it was obvious he wasn't going to be playing the league team much when we stepped up. And the board of directors said, why don't you get him off the wage bill? Barry Fry, ironically enough, had rang me about him. I said, well, I'll tell you what, Barry, get yourself over here with a crate of Moe Shand and you can have him. So he turns up, Barry, brings us. 2 weeks later, true story, he rings me up. He said, Ron, that fullback, he's not very good. Can I have 2 of them bottles back? But it was great camaraderie there. I mean, I can remember us, I know it was with Kettering when we won the league at Dartford. people, you know, they give you had drinks with the opposition and all that. And I thought they were great times, yeah.
So is it true that you was pivotal at the time in maintaining the unusual broad black and amber striped shirts at United, which appeared again here at the Hawthorns in navy and white fashion at West Brom? Or is that just a myth?
I think that's a myth, yeah, because they'd already got them here.
So did you regret leaving the Abbey before your second promotion?
Well, yeah, but it was a time, you know. I felt we got a good side, and I recommended Little Doc to take the job. I said, if you don't, you can come with me to the Hawthorns. If you don't get the job, and I think I saw them the week after. I think it was at Tranmere. I went to watch them play at Tranmere, which I think I'm right in saying they won that as well. But they were, the spirit was great. You know, players worked and fought and scrapped for each other, and you know, it was a great time. People had good attitudes and wanted to win and wanted to play for the club.
So when West Brom come in to sign you, was that the only club to come and look for you, or was there other clubs and other opportunities?
Well, I think there've been a few suggestions. Funnily enough, Watford had asked me about the job. And I think about the same time, West Brom had approached, this is a little bit earlier, had approached Graham Taylor. Graham Taylor didn't take the West Brom job, and I didn't take the Watford job. And ironically enough, he went to Watford and I went to West Brom.
So when you came here to the Hawthorns, did you laugh yourself to sleep when you captured Brendan, the club's captain and linchpin, for a bargain £28,000 as your first signing here at the Baggies?
It's a good story, that. What happened?
What happened there?
Yeah, I looked at what we got, and then I thought, hang on a bit. We got a right back here, Paddy Mulligan. It was all right. Nowhere near as quick as Brendan, not as good on the ball, and not as good a defender. And I thought, well, hang on a bit. If he can make a good Premier, First Division player, I'm sure Brendan can. Although his first two games sort of made me wonder about it. But what happened, I knew the powerhouse at Cambridge was Reg, Curly Smart. What he said went. But I knew every Thursday he went and played golf at Newmarket and had a night out afterwards. So I waited till I knew he was out there, and I rang Dave Ruston, the chairman. I said, look, I want to buy Brendan Batson. Said, well, what will you give us? I said, it's got to be done today because I need him in the squad for Saturday. You used to have to sign on a Thursday night by then. I said, so I'll give you 25 grand. He said, we want more than that. Now, Dave was an accountant, and you know accountants are like money. And I went, I'll tell you what then, you twisted my arm, I'll give you 28. And he said, done. I said, but he's got to be here tonight for a medical, and so he's ready for the... Now, I rang Brendan, and I'm trying to think what he was having to do at his house. It was a do at his house. I think Ray Freeman was there and all that, a few there. And he thought I was winding him up at first. I said, no. He said, well, I said, forget it. Get yourself in the car and get yourself over here tonight. You got to have a medical tonight. Because I knew if I waited till Friday morning, Reg would be straight in, so we did that deal. We did the whole deal that night, everything buttoned down. Next morning, I get the most antagonistic phone call ever from Reg. You've cheated us, you've done... I said, how did your golf go yesterday? Yeah.
Do you think there are any other youth players out of your promotion side at Cambridge United that would have maybe fitted nicely into your West Brom side?
Yeah, well, I don't think they'd got in the side. I think they'd have got in the squad. I mean, people like Fallon would have been useful, very useful. And ironically enough, Alan Biley almost came here. Alan went to Derby for big money. We'd agreed a deal because Colin Addison had gone manager at Derby. I'd agreed a swap deal for Alan Biley and David Mills. We'd gone down, I think we'd played somewhere down, must have played Bournemouth, because we were staying over to play Paul in a friendly game, testimonial. And that day, Derby were playing Liverpool, and Gordon McQueen broke Alan Biley's ankle, and that squashed the deal.
Squashed the deal.
Otherwise he could have come in. He was Alan Biley, you know. He was a terrific finisher. You know, he got natural instincts and he got a great spring. He could leap and he could read things. Anybody put balls into the box for him, he always fancied there was a
Out
chance.
of all the strikers you've managed, would you say Alan was up there then maybe as one of the best natural finishers?
Well, certainly if you watched him in training, he's the best striker I've ever worked with in training because he put things away. He got goals that you could relate to in matches. I mean, we had Tony Brown here who scored like 10,000 goals here, so he would be the best finisher. But Alan Briley, it'd have been useful to see what he worked with if we'd have got him here and paired him up sometimes with Cyril and people like that.
So obviously you had quite a good career as a manager. What would you say was your favourite football management experience and memory?
All right, once again, I couldn't pinpoint anything. You know, I've been lucky enough. You know, I've been to Wembley a few times and won a few cups there, which was great because Wembley was always a day out.
Yeah.
You know, it was always terrific.
Occasion.
I've had 8. I tell you what I've had 8 top 4 finishes in the top division.
That's a good go.
Which only at that time only the champions went into the Champions League, so we'd have had that qualification. But you know, we had a lot of European qualifications. Yeah, hard to say. I mean, people say, "What was your most enjoyable time?" And they point to Man U, and I said, "No, Man U was great. Cambridge was great. Kettering was great. You know, everywhere you."
They're all slightly different as well, aren't they?
Yeah, everywhere you went. But I'll tell you where I was lucky. I think in the whole time as a manager, I think there's only 2 players I wouldn't have a drink with. And I can't remember who one of them is.
Okay, so as a manager then, who would you say is your best ever signing at the clubs you managed?
Well, in terms of, as a player,
As a player, yeah.
Robbo. Robbo is the best player I've worked with. Dave Stringer for nothing from Norwich, great signing, and a great acquisition to the club. I bought Paul McGrath for 30 grand, who's the best centre-half I've ever seen. Or certainly not the best I've ever seen, but the best I've ever worked with. What I didn't realise was, you know, for 30 grand, that's a decent fee. I didn't realise I got to pick up his drinks tab as well, which made it a bit more
You're good at finding a bargain, I must say. So, do you think agents and players these days are too influential in the game?
I tell you what I think, this may answer your question. I tell you one of the things I think is lacking in football now that years ago used to be imperative, recruitment. I think there's too much dealing done between agents recommend people to, if you like, chief executives, and I don't think the days when a manager and his staff would go out and personally vet all the players. I mean, it was a standard procedure. I mean, not only me, David Pleat, Fergie, Harry Redknapp, we all did it. In the week, you'd look and say, fixture there, I don't know, Stevenage playing somebody. Somebody go and have a look at them just to see. And sometimes you can unearth a diamond, like, yeah. I don't think there's enough of that done at all.
Final question. So, what are you doing with yourself these days now you've retired from being involved in the game?
Bits and bats of stuff. I still go to a lot of football. Occasionally I do stuff at Man U for their TV. Do quite a few sportsmen's evenings and so forth. Probably go and watch Birmingham play an awful lot because most of my mates are what we call blue noses, and I can have a right laugh and give them stick. Whatever turns up. Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Ron.
Yeah, pleasure.